Hello friends. Today I am going to tell you an interesting story about the movie Just Mercy. In 1989, a determined Harvard Law graduate by the name of Bryan Stevenson journeys to Alabama with the goal of advocating for individuals who lack access to proper legal representation. Together with Ava Ansley, he establishes the Equal Justice Initiative and visits a prison where he meets death row inmates, including Walter John E. D. McMillian, a black man convicted of killing Rhonda Morrison, a white woman, in 1986. As Stevenson examines the evidence in McMillian's case, he realizes that the conviction was solely based on the inconsistent and conflicting testimony of Ralph Myers, a convicted felon who testified in exchange for a reduced sentence in his own trial. Initially, Stevenson approaches prosecutor Tommy Chapman for assistance, but is promptly dismissed without any consideration of his findings. He then seeks out Darnell Houston, a friend of McMillian's family, to provide testimony that would discredit the prosecution's case by confirming that he was with a witness who contradicts Myers' testimony on the day of the murder. However, when Stevenson presents Houston's statement, he is arrested on charges of perjury. Despite getting the charges dropped, Houston is coerced into not testifying in court. Furthermore, Stevenson experiences intimidation from two sheriff deputies who stop him at gunpoint, illegally search his car, and refuse to give a reason before letting him go. Next, Stevenson speaks with Myers himself, who eventually confesses that his testimony was forced due to threats of being burned alive and the electric chair by the police. Stevenson then petitions the local court for retrial for McMillian and successfully convinces Myers to retract his testimony in court. However, the judge still refuses to grant a retrial. Stevenson expresses his disappointment to Ansley. He later appears on 60 Minutes to garner public support for McMillian's case and appeals to the Supreme Court of Alabama. The Supreme Court overturns the previous court's decision, granting McMillian a retrial. Stevenson then moves to have the charges dropped altogether. He goes to Chapman's house to try and convince him to join the motion, but Chapman furiously kicks him out. On the day of the motion, Stevenson appeals to the judge, and Chapman surprisingly joins him in the motion. The case is dismissed, and McMillian is finally able to reunite with his family. The story concludes by highlighting that Stevenson and Ansley continue to advocate for justice until present day. McMillian maintains a friendship with Stevenson until his passing in 2013. A subsequent investigation into Morrison's death ultimately vindicates McMillian's innocence and suggests that a white perpetrator may have been responsible. However, the case remains unsolved. McMillian's cellmate, Anthony Ray Hinton, was also on death row for 28 years, until Stevenson was able to have the charges dropped and Hinton was released in 2015.